All right, we're going to go ahead and get started, and appreciate you being on the webinar tonight. We want to cover, actually I just noticed my webinar slide has the wrong title on it, so let me go ahead and switch that real quick. So what we're covering today is pros and cons of sourcing online. And there are actually quite a few pros and one kind of major con that we're going to talk about tonight. And then we're going to give you some tips and suggestions for reducing the risk, the particular risks you find when you're buying products online and selling them on Amazon FBA. At the end, we'll have some time for questions. And if you do have questions at any point during the webinar, you can go ahead and add those into the chat window there next to your video. Just go ahead and type those in there, and we'll kind of keep track of them and address them either as we go or at the end if it's appropriate. Okay? All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Chris, and I've also got my wife Heather here online.
Hi.
And we will be covering all these topics. So let's go ahead and start off with the pros. First one I'm going to start with is my favorite one, and this is why we originally started getting into buying inventory online. It's because we don't have to leave our home. We've got 5 kids, and it's difficult shuffling them all around town, going to different stores. You can spend hours out there, and it's just not feasible. So we still do some arbitrage, retail arbitrage, but it's very specific. With specific stores we hit, specific days of the week. And it's kind of a limited process. We just go for the things we know we can get. So that's a huge benefit, not having to leave your home. The other thing is you can choose the best items from the daily finds list. So again, you've got a large selection to choose from, and you can find the ones that work best for you. Maybe you're focusing on shoes, maybe you're focusing on outerwear, whatever it is. Also, if you're a beginner, you may want to focus on things with like a high net profit, for example, just to reduce your risk there. So it just gives you a lot of options in terms of being able to pick things that are going to fit what you need. Whereas if you're doing a retail arbitrage, you're kind of stuck with whatever the store does or maybe doesn't have. And we've all been to stores where you walk out and there's nothing. This is another benefit, and some people underutilize this, but you can leverage discounts online. One of the main discounts we use every time we make a purchase online is we use Ebates, and that will generally give you 2 to roughly 4 or 5% back, cash back. And the other thing that you can leverage is discount gift cards. So you can buy gift cards online at a discount, and then purchase those items at the store using that gift card. So let's say you spend $90 on a $100 discount. It's still worth $100 when you're buying the items, but you only pay $90 for it. This is another one of my favorites. One of the coolest things about buying items online is it means you get free shipping supplies. That means that as items are coming into your home, those are boxes, there's packing filler in there, like bubble wrap and that sort of thing. And so we love that. We are very, very often using the boxes and the box filler that we get. We use as much as we can, and that reduces our costs, makes things easier for us, and it's like we have a constant supply of boxes coming into the house. This is another important one. You've got a steady stream of inventory coming in each day because you're getting your daily finds every day. You can really pace your spending. You can pace how much you're buying, and you can control how much you're spending. If I go out and do retail arbitrage, I may find that I don't find anything for that day, or I may hit 1 or 2 stores and only find a little bit. So one of the things I really like is that I can decide, hey, if I want to spend $100 a day, I can pretty much almost guarantee I can do that. If I want to spend $200 a day, I can guarantee I can do that, that sort of thing. And so that helps make your profits at the end of the month more predictable as well. And then last but not least, this is often an overlooked one, but it's actually easier to do research when you're in front of your computer in your home, looking at items. It's a lot harder in the store because typically you're on a smaller device. It might be harder to kind of look up the price history and do some research. The other thing is, you know, sometimes you're trying to be a little less obvious that you're scanning items and looking at things when you're doing retail arbitrage. And you kind of want to just kind of be more discreet and get in and out. So, you know, you don't want to sit there for, you know, 30 minutes doing research in an aisle. So oftentimes our buying decisions online are a little bit smarter, and sometimes we make buying decisions in retail situation and we might make some mistakes because we just didn't have enough time to focus on you know, selecting the item basically. So I think that's it. That's all I've got for the pros slide. To me, there's a huge amount of pros to sourcing online, and that's why we got into this. There's also a risk, and there's a main risk factor. I'll let Heather kind of take this here, but it all kind of focuses around competition. So Heather, I'll let you go ahead and take these points.
Okay, awesome. So the cons of buying inventory online. As some of you might have found out, you'll buy something online and you get it into Amazon and other people show up on the listing, and it sometimes is a lot of other people. And that is just one of the factors in purchasing online items. So we'll talk a little bit later on how to reduce even that risk, but that is one of the cons of selling inventory online, is that some stores have a large inventory and you could have a lot of other online arbitrage people coming in on your listing. So another one is some items have high inventory, you know, and that's just that can be good and that can be bad. If you're the one that has the high inventory and you are holding the buy box, awesome, you're making a lot of money. But if you've got 12 or 15 other people that come in on top of you and they're you know, they have a cheaper price than you, sometimes that can be really annoying, and you have to make a judgment call on whether or not you're going to hold your price and see if they sell out, or if you're going to drop your price and maybe take a little less of an ROI on your, you know, return on your investment. So, and that if you have that high inventory, you know, you can hold things for a long time. Sometimes it makes sense, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes if you hold things longer than you should have, you get more saturation and you just can't get on top of it because people are just coming in and coming in. And so you have to make that judgment call. Do I try to hold it even longer? You know, if it's a toy, maybe you can sell it during a Q4 spike, but maybe you just need to let it go and either take a small loss or just take a smaller return on your investment. You know, now I'm sure some of you have seen what we call the race to the bottom. A bunch of sellers come in and it seems like they probably have repricers, and all of a sudden let's say you're selling something for 25 bucks and you've got 7 people on top of you selling it for 14. You're like, how are they doing this? And the numbers just get lower. That can happen. There are some people that are really trigger happy when it comes to dropping their prices. I don't know why, because they're not making as much money, but you'll see the race to the bottom, and you're just going to have to make a decision on whether or not you can hold it for a little longer and let them sell out before it gets to you, or if you need to fit somewhere in that race to the bottom so you feel like you're getting your money out of it. So I think that's the bulk of the cons of buying inventory online. But there's one that some people feel is a con that really is a blessing in disguise, and that is when you're buying inventory online, you really need to be shipping once a week. That is the best way to do it. And that is time consuming, but it's also a blessing in disguise, because if you can get in the habit of shipping your items once a week, you've got fresh inventory going into Amazon every week, which means your sales are going to be a lot more steady than if you're shipping every 2 weeks or once a month, or some people once every 3 months. So while it takes a little more time to ship every week, which can be a con, it really is a blessing in disguise because you're making more money more consistently. I think that's it for the cons.
Okay. And I actually wanted to address the second bullet too, in kind of another perspective on that. Well, because you're buying online, you could be holding a larger inventory. It also often means that some of the stores have a higher inventory. And so sometimes we prefer clearance items, which we'll talk about in a second. But it just means like it's one of the reasons we don't source from Disney, for example, because they have huge amounts of inventory even when they're doing a sale. And that just means that there's far more opportunity for people to come in there and buy that inventory up and resell it. You can't do that in a retail arbitrage situation because you're in a clearance aisle or something. There's very limited inventory there, and you're pretty much the only one that found it. So I just wanted to bring that up. Also, with shipping more often, just because you're shipping more often doesn't mean that you're sending in more items. It's just that you're doing it more often. So let's say, instead of waiting 2 weeks and sending in 100 items, you may send in 50 items the first week, 50 items the second week. So it's not necessarily more work, but you do have to take time out of the week consistently to do that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to what I call the risk-reducing techniques. And I know that's a little silly sounding, but that's kind of what they are. And so this is the one Heather was just talking about. And here's why this is so darn important, is because with online arbitrage, as we were talking about, there is more of a risk of competition. And so let's say somebody did find the same item you did and they did purchase, a bunch of these units and they're sending it in too. Well, you want to beat them to get it into inventory. So that's why we say ship once a week. That way, if somebody else did happen to get it, you're going to get your items in very quickly and hopefully even sell them before the other seller gets a chance to even get that stuff in the warehouse. So it's just a matter of hustling, moving quickly, making sure that the inventory gets in to avoid potential competition. It doesn't always happen, but sometimes it does. So again, just helps you reduce risks. Focusing on buying clearance inventory. Now, you don't have to buy clearance inventory, but here's what I like about clearance inventory. Typically, that means there's very limited inventory, which it could mean there's just a couple pieces in inventory when you're buying it, or it could mean that maybe there's 10. But typically, there's low stock, so you're going to have far less potential for other people to be buying those same items and then possibly turning them around. Most of the people that are buying the items, they just want them. They want to own them. They don't want to resell them. But again, you've got other people online sourcing too. And this is just a way to reduce your risk. Now, sales are not usually the same thing. You can have a sale and a store can still have a lot of inventory. So you're looking for low inventory options here. This one is kind of obvious, but sometimes it takes some discipline to do this. And that is, you're looking for the best deals that have the best net and the best ROI. So the highest net and the highest ROI possible. Why? Because again, it gives you a lot of wiggle room. If you've got a really good net and a really good ROI, that means, let's say you had to drop your prices because some competition came in, because there was a race to the bottom, it can happen, right? This gives you room to deal with that. If you bought something and there was only like, $10 net profit and the ROI wasn't great and it just goes down a couple bucks, then you may be in a negative profit situation there. So if you're starting out and you're a beginner and you want to keep risk down, or you're just risk adverse, then I suggest focusing on the deep net and high ROI deals. Is that always the case? No, because sometimes we see items that are really great opportunities that may not have 100% ROI, but we know there's still good opportunities. We know there's probably not going to be a lot of competition on it, so you can use your discretion. With this one here, preference on less popular stores when possible. Again, this is about avoiding buying items from places where a lot of other people may be sourcing. And this is exactly why we do not source from Disney. We don't source from Starbucks, and those are the main ones. But especially Disney, they just have huge amounts of inventory, and so even if there's a wonderful sale and you buy a bunch of stuff, you can be guaranteed that there are tons of other sellers that are jumping in there and buying that stuff along with you. So if you see a less popular store on there, one you may not have heard of before, or you just know it's a smaller store, then that's the thing you want to go for. Hey, Heather, I'm getting some feedback. You may have speaker on or something. I think I'll let Heather take these last 2 points, mixing in some retail arbitrage as a strategy.
Okay, so here's the thing. Online arbitrage is great. It's easy in the sense that you're sourcing from your home. You can do it in your pajamas and you don't have to have makeup or your hair done. And you, like Chris said earlier, it gives you the time to do the research to really make a smart buying decision. However, sometimes you need to have a little retail arbitrage, and it balances out your Amazon FBA business when you also do retail arbitrage. Sometimes your online stuff, it may, take a little longer to sell. And if you're trying to keep, a healthy balance or a healthy dollar amount coming in every week, you want some retail arbitrage in there, for some quick sales. Typically retail arbitrage sells very quick. Online arbitrage can sell really quick as well. But every now and then you get those items where they just need to sit for a month or two before they're going to sell. And that's okay. That's part of the game that we're playing, and it's fun. So definitely mix some retail arbitrage. If you're going to the store anyways to buy groceries or buy clothes for your kids, hit the clearance section. I was recently in Target just to pick up some things for the family, and my son and I hit the clearance section, and we bought a lot of water bottles that were on deep clearance at Target that we'll send in probably around July for the back to school season, when their rank and their ROI will go up. So just take that opportunity to do a little retail arbitrage. And so one of the things that we have done as a family, because our Amazon business is truly a family business, is we've added ceremony to our shipping process, especially since we ship once a week. So basically this is how it looks at our house, and tweak it to however you need to tweak it for your family or your lifestyle. We have 2 children that it's solely their job to get whatever boxes off the front porch, and they open them up and they input them into Inventory Lab. That's their job. And then from there, those items, they put them on a white table that we have for our inventory. And if there's any tags or anything they need to clean up, which is not usually the case with online arbitrage, but every once in a while there is, they'll remove those little sticky tags, or they'll cover barcodes if it's clothing, so that when we bag it, we just have to put our barcode on the outside of the bag. So from there, once we have a week's worth of inventory ready to ship, all of the family comes together, and we have another son who's kind of in control of making sure everything is in Inventory Lab the right way with the right pricing and making sure the listings are right. And we come together and we do any final cleanup on items, get them all prepped in their bags. We hang out together and we're putting the labels on as we're checking everything off our spreadsheets. And we pack the boxes together, we get them all taped up and addressed, and then we go ship them. And at the end, because we all worked really well together, we'll have ice cream or some kind of treat to reward everybody's hard process and everybody taking the part, in the family business. So, add ceremony. If you want to play some fun music while you're doing your shipping process, do that. Just make it fun, and do it something, make it, a routine, so that you get into the habit of it, and it's not like Mount Everest and you're like, I can't do this, I don't want to do this. Now, let me just say, when you're shipping once a week, you don't ever get to Mount Everest. It's just a little hill, and it's easily, climbable, and, it doesn't become a burden because you're getting it done.
Yeah.
I don't even think we spend an hour, honestly, since we started shipping once a week.
On the flip side, you definitely don't want to wait something like a month. I mean, we've been in that situation before, like just a month shoots by and we're like, holy cow, we haven't sent anything in yet. That's not a good situation because then you've got inventory sitting around and the environment can change on those listings.
Yes.
The competition could come in, the price could go down, something can change. So again, it's always best just to get that stuff in as quick as possible. And having that process and kind of doing it, spreading out through the week just makes it so much easier and more enjoyable overall. Heather, would you take a couple minutes to describe some tactics for dealing with a situation where maybe you bought some inventory and a whole bunch of people do come on the listing and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, there's all this competition now. What are the best ways to handle that?
Sure. Well, there's a couple ways that I handle it because we're on listings where a lot of people have come in, and I've had to make some judgment calls. So we have an additional tool called ACE Inspector, where I can actually see how much inventory anybody has. But if you don't have ACE Inspector, I tell you it's a little tedious, but this is how you find out how much inventory your competitor has. You go to the listing, you click on your competitor, you put one in your cart on Amazon, and then you go into your cart and you add quantity and just do quantity like 99 or 50 or something like that. And Amazon will come back and tell you how many items your competitor has in stock. So let's say you have 7 competitors on top of you and they've brought the pricing down, go through each of your competitors and see how much they have in stock, and then you can start making a judgment call. If the rank is really good and it's selling 150 a month, for example, and your competitors have maybe a total of 10 in stock, see, that's when I would wait. I would just hold, and I would watch them, make sure nobody else is coming in on the listing and nobody, but that's a hold situation for me. Now, if you get something in stock and you're seeing the same kind of scenario and you check one of your competitors and they have like 500 or something, for me, that would be where I would just want to get my money back with maybe a little bit of profit, but at least my initial investment back. So I would at that point work on dropping my price. And I'm not a crazy risk taker and I don't tank prices often. So, I would drop it kind of in the middle. I wouldn't necessarily go all the way to the bottom. I'd drop it in the middle, see if I can get some of the people sold off so I can still get a good ROI. But if I'm just really trying to push inventory, I'll drop it to get the buy box, as long as I'm not losing money. Now, there are times where you have to either hold or lose money. And in that case, you actually need to do the calculations to see if it's worth you losing the money or not. Sometimes it's just better to have your stuff come back to you. Amazon charges you 50 cents for you to ship your stuff back to you. And sometimes it's better to lose that 50 cents plus the price of the item than it is to lose money in fees on Amazon when you sell it. And you can always sell things on eBay. Multi-channel sales are really a plus in this industry. And if you don't have something that sells on Amazon, oftentimes it'll sell on eBay, so you can still make your money back. So those are kind of just some of the scenarios. See what your competitors have in stock. Understand where you are comfortable with your ROI. If you're comfortable just getting 10% and getting your initial investment back with that 10%, and so you can invest it in something else, go ahead and do that. Sometimes it is good to just get the initial investment back and a little bit of ROI so you can invest it into something else quickly. But then sometimes you have some of those products that, even if you sat on it for 3 or 4 months, it would so be worth it because the ROI is just awesome. So it's kind of all where you are with your business plan. Everybody needs to have a business plan, and everybody needs to understand how, the way their items sell, how it affects the business plan. So that if you do have to, for some reason, tank a price or hold something a little longer than you expected, it won't hurt your business plan.
By business plan, are you just talking about specifically what your strategy is going to be with a particular listing, a particular product, or just overall?
Well, there really you should have an overall business plan. So, how many, for us, oftentimes it's a dollar amount, So if we are, trying to make, if you're trying to make, let's say $500 a week net profit, you need to make sure you have enough inventory that if you had inventory sit there for a while, you're still going to make that net profit. So in some ways it's an overall look, and then sometimes it is a strategy on particular items. So it's kind of twofold. You just have to know where you're comfortable dropping prices and when you're not, and so that it's not also hurting the profits that you want to have.
Sure. Okay. All right, cool. So I think what we'll do now is we'll just kind of open the floor here. If anybody has any questions, we'll just do some Q&A time. Um, if you do have a question, if you thought of anything, it doesn't have to be specifically on this topic now, and we can just open it up to any possible questions about sourcing, about selling things, risk reducing, anything like that. You can just pop those right into the chat box next to the video, and we'll see that and we can address it for you. So I'll just give you a minute to do that. And I just wanted to say one thing, just talk about this whole topic of competition. If it can happen to you, you definitely will. If you're doing online arbitrage long enough, eventually you'll buy something and you'll find out a whole bunch of other people managed to buy it too, and you're dealing with a lot of competition. It's that's part of the business, and we still do very well selling on Amazon, even though we do have to deal with that situation sometimes. So don't let it stress you out too much. Is my recommendation. If you have to, sell something at cost just to get it out, just to get your money back, that's okay too. That's just what happened with that item, and you get rid of it and you move on. It's better really to get rid of it in a lot of cases and just kind of hold on to it and that sort of thing. So
Hey, Chris, I don't know if you see this, but Nalene is actually requesting to talk.
oh, okay, cool. Let me see here. Oh, she wants to get on a call. Okay, let me see. Return. I've not used that feature before. I don't know if you can hear me, Nalene, but I've basically, let's see, return as attendee. I think you're on, Nalene. If I don't know if you have a mic or you can ask a question. I don't hear her.
I don't hear her either. Hey, Nalene, if you can hear us, do you want to just type in the chat yes or no? Well, yes, if you can hear us. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Oh, she says I can hear you, but you can't hear me.
Oh, sorry, Nalene. If
At
you
least
want,
we can read her though.
we can read you. So if you can just type in your questions as best as you can, we're happy to answer them. I know it's going to be challenging.
My screenshot changed a second ago. Try again. I don't think I hear anything.
Oh, I think she's asking you to try to bring her on again.
Okay, try that. All right, I just sent the invitation. And I'm just going to switch back to video mode for both of us here.
Okay.
Well, I still don't hear anything. Everything looks okay on my end.
Huh. I don't see her as an attendee anymore.
Nope, I don't see her either. Oh, she's
There
back.
she is. Hey, Nalene. We
Okay.
can't hear you.
I see her on my screen.
Okay, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can
Yep,
hear you. It's pretty quiet, but we can hear you.
I'll try to get close. It went through like sort of a whole bunch of. Anyway, here I am.
Heather, you go ahead and mute.
You're gonna ask me here. I called Amazon today. I had a couple items that were blocked, and we couldn't figure out why, and they never really know. And so, but they told me that I listed them or had comments that I listed them as new, and then I had comments that the packaging was damaged, and they said because of those comments, I was blocked on those items. So they said that if it's new, it should have no damaged packaging or whatever. And so if you put any sort of condition comments, then a bunch of I've sent in a bunch of items and then just but someone got it and loaded it. It wasn't just the system that picked it up. So I just thought that was interesting. We thought it before.
Oh, sorry, Nalene, I think you were breaking up some. I think I missed what you said.
I heard her.
You heard her? Okay, I'll let you go ahead and address it then.
So Nalene, if I got this correct, because there was some breaking up, but somebody didn't like your packaging, and so they came back and commented on it, and Amazon is blocking you from selling those items. Is that correct? Yeah, I can't hear you now. Hey, Nalene, if my assumption of what you said is right, can you type it in the chat box? Because for some reason I can't hear you.
No, so the item didn't yet. You can't. The items have
Hey, Heather, you are muted. You might need to unmute.
I'm unmuted.
Okay.
Did we lose Nalene?
I'm not sure. Can't quite tell. But it seems like we're having some sound problems.
Okay, so she's saying she can't hear or see us. She says my items are blocked when they reach the warehouse. Oh,
I see.
because of the description. Oh, she said because she had condition notes on new items. Huh.
It's possible that if in the condition notes she made it sort of sound like it was a used item, then that could be the problem. The only case where we've put a description note was when we had a new item, but the box may have been a little damaged. And particularly, we've done that in like office supplies, where like the box doesn't really matter to most people. They're just gonna look at it and be like, okay, whatever, because it's not a gift or anything like that. They're just gonna rip it open. So we've done that with like toner, ink, and that sort of thing. Where if the box is a little beat up, we might say, hey, look, this is a brand new item, but it's got a little bit of shelf wear.
I've done it on video games too and not had any problem.
So let's see. She says the notes were perfect, new condition, package shows somewhere. Yeah, I mean, honestly, we've done similar kinds of things before and not had any problems. So you may have just kind of maybe gotten unlucky. Somebody there, the individual who unpacked the items just rejected it. What kind of item was it, Nalene? What kind of category was that? I mean, and just as you're typing, what I'll say is that she says, Amazon told me if I had condition notes on new items, any of those items could get blocked. Okay. Well, like I said, we've done it before, never had a problem, but we don't do it often. Kitchen items, yeah, maybe. You kind of have to use your discretion, though. Like if you would have gotten the item and maybe been unhappy, you have to kind of put yourself in their shoes. And so here's the deal. A lot of times if your item is in the buy box, somebody's not going to see the condition notes. They may just click the buy button and then get the item. And even though you left condition notes, they may not see it. You sold quite a few items that had the same notes. Yeah.
Well, and this was Amazon who blocked her. It wasn't something she sold and somebody commented on. It was Amazon that commented.
Yeah.
So
I'd say it's a little bit more risky in the kitchen items because again, somebody might want to get that, and they might care how the box looks.
Amazon may have a metric too, where they judge shelfware. So it's tough because Amazon doesn't really put all of their metrics out there for everybody.
And they're not always consistent in the way they deal with different situations. So again, I mean, I'm not sure exactly what advice to give you. So I guess let's say if they blocked you on the item, you may have to have them shipped back.
You have to have it brought back.
And then you might have to make a decision with what you want to do with that item. You could ship it back in, like used, like new, like you said, used like new, and try to sell it that way. You can try to get rid of them on eBay, that sort of thing. So that'd be my recommendation.
Yeah, Nillian, if you want to send me, the item through email or something, we can look at it together. All right, what's your other question? Must be a long question. Oh, yeah, okay. Nalene, yeah, ThermoWorks has done that in the past. So the way around that is to do smaller batches different days. So I don't know how many you ordered, but it's yeah, if you ordered like 15 or 20 or something like that, they may not like it.
Yeah, I've found that most online stores don't really care, but there are a couple sometimes. So they may limit the amount of inventory you can buy in a day or per order, and so if you try to kind of work around that and place multiple orders, sometimes that works okay. Sometimes they'll block you. They'll just say, sorry, we think you're a reseller. I'd say more often than not, it's usually not an issue, but again, you ran into one where it was. So it's just a matter, like Heather said, just being a little more conservative with how you place those orders.
Yeah, so if you want to buy from Thermo Works again, I might buy, like however many you bought the last time you ordered from them, and then wait a couple days, buy some more.
Yeah.
Buy some in your husband's name, your mom's name, so that, they don't catch on if they're really going to be a pain about it. I've run into it with one other company where they canceled an order because they didn't like how much I bought, but usually I don't run into it often.
Yeah, and once you know what that company is, then you can just be a little more strategic about it.
Yeah. So, and I've ordered large quantities from other companies, and most companies do not care. So, John, I see, are you ready to play a game? You want to clarify?
If you got any questions, John, feel free to drop those in the chat box. We'll take a couple more minutes if anybody has any other questions.
I will say this, though, typically we often don't buy more than 5 of something. So, we're not going to hit a threshold with a lot of companies. So 5 at a time seems to be a pretty safe number.
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
Oftentimes we're thinking in increments of $100 profit. So we're thinking, okay, how many of these do we have to buy that we can sell within a month or two easily and make $100 profit on the order? It's just a nice, clean way of thinking about it. But sometimes, you'll have an item like you found where you just want to stock up on them because they're going to sell real fast.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done that recently with, a couple items where we bought a couple cases worth, and they flew off the shelves, and it worked well in that case,
Tell us know our story of how we got into the business and what our journey has been like.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can tell you why we got into it too, but I'll let Heather handle that. Go for it.
Well, Terrell, all of you, we got into the business after a mentor of ours introduced us to the concept of selling on Amazon. Before that, we didn't really know a lot about it. Chris had dabbled in it a little bit as a fulfilled by merchant selling some screen printing books, but he had never really taken it seriously. So we have this business mentor, and she showed this opportunity to sell things on Amazon, and we're like, okay, cool. It looks kind of fun. So I guess it would have been 2014. We're like, we'll send some stuff in for the Q4 season. Everybody says stuff sells well. Let's just see what this is all about and kind of get our feet wet. So we did offline, retail arbitrage, taking all of our children with us to stores, and we bought some stuff and shipped it in, and we made some money, but we were like, this offline stuff is not great with 5 kids. So John, we stopped for a little bit as we spent a lot of time researching and understanding how we wanted to do the business. So then we picked the business back up, and our focus was to have a business that was a family business, something that our sons and daughters could understand and do, even if Chris and I weren't in the business. And that's how our current Amazon business has been born. We focus a lot on online arbitrage because it's easy for our family. We have a son that spends a lot of time researching. products online, and he makes most of our buying decisions for us. And then I come through and do a second look at what he says, and I typically have the final say. And our younger children get involved with the cleaning and packing of things. And so it's been a fun journey with the family. We've had bumps in the road, and we've seen inventory just sit there forever because we didn't understand ranking in certain categories, and that's okay. That's something we experimented with, and sometimes we took a loss, sometimes it was a win. Overall, we have a lot more wins than we have losses, which is how it should be. Nothing's 100% in this business, obviously, but it is pretty darn close. You get to know how much money you're going to make intimately because you've spent the time researching, and you understand your products and you understand your competitors. So, the journey has been great. It's, a business that we love. And that's partially why we went into daily FBA finds, because we spent a lot of time on sourcing lists that they were inundated with people, 250 people getting the same list, and, all of them buying stuff from the Disney store or Starbucks.
Pretty low standards, I might add.
Yes, low standards. Maybe you're going to make $5. So we dabbled on some of those lists, bought some of those products, and we were burned a couple times that way. And so that's why we started Daily FBA Finds, which is a family business, and Nico, one of our sons, works in it with us. And we wanted to bring quality products that we knew would sell, for all levels. So some of the products we have are definitely for the more seasoned buyer, and some of them are for the beginner buyer, and some of them are in between. But we know they're quality products. We know they'll sell, and we feel comfortable with, we buy off of them too. So, we won't give you guys anything that we don't buy ourselves, but it's been a great journey. So if you have, more specific questions about what we do, feel free.
Yeah. And I'll just add, my background is online programming, web development, marketing, that sort of thing. And I have been using VAs and outsourcing for a very, very long time, like over a decade now. So I was already very familiar with hiring virtual assistants and having a team that's spread around the world. And so I basically took those skills and built my own team of virtual assistants that help us source every day. So as they're sourcing, we're reviewing those items, and then you guys get the best of the best from those. But it's just a matter of actually finding VAs, training them, going through the hiring process, and then managing them on a day-to-day basis. It's something most people are not interested in doing, and I totally understand that. So, it was a natural fit for us because that's what we were doing already. We already understood the process.
Well, I think the other part of our journey is that, we've suffered some of these pitfalls, and what we wanted to do is help people who wanted to get a business up off the ground, not have to go through the same, bumpy road that we had to. And so that's why we got into, that's the other reason we got into daily FBA finds, because we knew we could quickly get people, making money on Amazon.
Yeah.
And so we've mentored, quite a few people, and some of them have chosen the retail side, which is great. And that's their thing. Online's not for them, and that's cool. And then, we have, the people that online is working, and it's working well for them too. So, we're here for you guys to help you, not have to go through the same kind of bumps along the way as that we've gone through, and a lot of other Amazon sellers go through. Because they're trying to wade through all the information.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can spend months studying this, and the idea we had was, okay, we know all the basics of what it takes, the things that you have to focus on to get this business running quickly and effectively, and that's what we want to teach. We don't want to focus on lots of details or things that people don't need to know about. So just kind of shortcutting the process as best as possible. And you pick up a lot of the details as you go along the way anyhow.
Me, John, you want to explain?
John just said me. I'm not sure what he means.
Yeah, well, John's a little schizophrenic. It's okay. We love John.
All right. Well, if anybody has any other questions, just pop them in there. We'll take a little more time to answer.
Yeah, so we're here for you. I know some of you have had coaching calls with us that have, some good intensives. I know we've been trying to get a hold, of some of you, others on here tonight. So we are here for you. We're here to have those coaching calls with you. We're here to answer whatever questions you have. Feel free to utilize us as as a service that we want to provide you. We want you to be successful with this, and we certainly don't want you to have any negative feelings. We want you to have a great experience and this to be a great business for you. So, feel free. Thank you, Nalene. I appreciate that. Oh, John, yes, we're happy to mentor you as well. You guys make this worthwhile for us, because it wouldn't be a great business for our family if we weren't, sharing what we know and helping others. So, yeah, that's a big part of why we do this, is so we can help others. So, yeah, if you haven't had a intense training yet, please schedule that with us. We are going on vacation next week, but we can get you in after that to get some training in if you need it.
Also, John asked a question, but I just want to also mention that since we will be out of town next week, we will still have sourcing going on because our time will be a little more limited. We may have days where there's maybe slightly less products than usual. Maybe we might have a day, worst case scenario, like 6 products or something like that. But hopefully we'll be able to keep the quality up. But just want to let you guys know that just because we'll have less time to deal with the sourcing side of things. We may not be able to deliver exactly the amount of products that we usually like to each day.
So John asked the question, should I cancel an order that was placed on hold from 1.5 weeks ago? John, it would really depend on what the item is. So that might be one of those where, you want to Skype me the item, tomorrow morning. You can Skype it over to me and I can take a look at it for you and we can make a judgment call based off that. But it's really going to depend on what the rank is doing, and if competitions come in, and what the prices are doing. So those are really the 3 factors.
Yep. And one thing I do want to mention too is if you guys have inventory in Amazon and you want us to review it and have a look at what are your prices looking like? What's the competition looking like? If there's certain inventory items you just have questions about, you can send them over us to take a look at, because you can learn a lot from the whole process of just having somebody else give you a second opinion, so to speak, give you, another set of eyeballs to look at what you're doing with your inventory.
Yeah, and I have no problem jumping on like a Skype call with you, and I can, pull the inventory up on my screen and I can show you how I evaluate it, so you guys can see that firsthand and ask any questions in the moment. So
yeah,
totally game to do that.
I recommend letting us do that at least once if you haven't yet, because a lot of good will come out of that for you.
Yeah. So, all right. Any other questions? We're hitting about 5 minutes to the hour here, so I'm very blessed to have teenagers. They're making dinner. It's awesome. Okay. Terrell says video is delayed for him a couple of minutes, but I just wanted to let you know that I would like to start the intense training when you get back from your vacation. I'm finally getting to slow down some for my full-time job. I'll email you and we can schedule a date to get started. Awesome, Terrell. We're super excited to get with you guys and do that intensive.
Yeah, that sounds great.
So yeah, shoot us an email and we'll get to you as soon as we get back from our vacation and get you rolling.
All right, that sounds good. I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up now. And if anybody does have additional questions, or maybe we end the webinar and something pops into your mind that you thought of, feel free just to send that to us by email. As you know, you can go to dailyfbafines.com/support, and you can ask us questions there. You can pick up the phone. No problem. Just contact us however you need to. All right. So I will say thank you to everybody for being online tonight, and I really appreciate all the questions and the interaction, and I enjoyed this. Hopefully you guys learned something. Hopefully this was helpful. So we'll say good night.
Good night, guys. Thank you.
All right, take care.